The name of the survivor is Jacob Eisenberger. What was the date of arrival at the labor camp?
1940, September 15.
What was the name of the camp?
It was called Kishwarda.
And from where did you come, and by what method of transportation?
I came from my town that's called Nyíregyháza, and I was in the age to go to the army. Just that time they don't trust the Jewish people to get the munitions, so we went to the labor camp.
And what was the method of transportation to go there?
Railroad.
Did you arrive alone or with members of your family?
By myself, with other boys who was in my age.
And what happened to your family?
At that time they didn't bother my family. This was early stage in 1940. And later on, after I was there a year, I heard that they took also my father for 3 months. They took him to the Soviet border. And after 3 months, they let him home because he was in our age around 50, 54. And he was home till 1944. Till 1944, only boys in my age, about 20, 21, they was forced to go in the labor camp. Other people, other members of the family, they could stay home and to live a normal life. Of course, not like Gentiles, because they have privilege, and they always brought in some sanctions against Jewish people. Like they took away the stores, he can't be a storekeeper anymore, or he can't be in a government job. Just this was stages. It was a time when they let, and there was a time when they didn't let.
And what happened eventually to your family?
There was they went to the ghetto in Nyíregyháza, and from there they took him to Auschwitz, and they never came back.
Was there a selection on your arrival at the labor camp?
No, everybody was supposed to go there.
What was the location and size of the camp?
The location? Where was the location? I mentioned it. It was in Kishwarda. And the size was about 5,000-6,000 boys there. From there, they took us to so-called Big Hungary. That was a part of Romania, and we have to build the railroads and other things what they need for the carry on the war against the Russians.
And what was the guard system at the camp?
They got soldiers from the army, but they sent over to the labor camp. And beginning wasn't so bad, just later on every year was worse and worse.
And when was this camp set up?
This camp was actually not a camp. We went in a field where it was nothing. And we have to dig in the earth bunkers, and then we built something on the top to make it possible to live there. Just when we arrived, it was nothing there.
Yeah. When was it built? When was
It
it?
started 1940 September.
Do you know the name of the commanders, the officers, and the men that you remember?
Unfortunately, who was the worst commander, this I remember because I went to his trial for witnessing. His name was Milankovic. He was the commander for the eastern part of the Hungarian country. got this satisfaction that after the war they hung him.
Can you characterize the commander or the other officers and men, what type of personality or how they reacted to the inmates?
It was individual. It was people who was nice. It was people who was terrible. Just after 30 years, I don't remember names. Possibly that is not alive anymore anyway.
Were there, the guards then were not Germans?
Till 1944, October 15 was all Hungarians.
And how many guards were there in the camp?
It's usually was about 200 Jews, was about 15 non-Jews guards.
What was the composition of the inmates in terms of how many inmates, what their ages were, what sex, were they Jews or non-Jews, and where they came from?
In our camp was only male, no female, and no others, only Jewish people.
And how old were these Jews and where did they come from?
They all came from eastern part, from Hungary, and the age, beginning it was the age from 21 to 35, I believe. Later on they raised to 50.
What did the work consist of?
The working system was just to work without any significance, because what we was working, they didn't use. We used to carry wood from one part from the forest to the other, and the other they give an order to put it back to the other side.
Were there capos at this camp?
No, they were soldiers, not Jewish people, only Gentiles.
Can you describe the food?
The food was mostly beans, potatoes, and soups.
What was the daily routine in terms of when you got up and what you went to work, or what was the routine for the day?
Usually we get up 5 o'clock, and we used to pray secretly till they don't catch us, and 6 o'clock was breakfast. After this we went to work, and we came home 8 o'clock in the evening.
Were any people killed in the camp?
By accident, yes. There was a time when we was building railroad, and it was a big mountain, and the wharf fell down.
Were there any attempts to escape?
Yes, I tried to escape a few times, and I got success. Just later on, they catched me, and I went back. It was not before they took me to a prison, and I was there 8 months. And they find me guilty for 5 months. And then they send me back again to the labor camp.
Was there an organized underground or planned resistance or contacts with the outside?
It was just I didn't belong to these people. I have no connection with people who was under the underground. Just I'm sure it was many people who was fighting against Germans.
In the camp, was there underground?
In the camp, it was no underground. If we could do something against the government, we did. Just I can't call it that underground.
Were there any attempts at cultural activity?
No cultural activity. Of course, we religious Jews, traditional Jews, we didn't give it up. In any chance we got to prayer or to learn, even more than before the Nazi era, we experienced.
Were there any children in the camp?
Not under 21.
Can you describe the relations between the Jewish inmates, between different towns, those who came from different towns?
It was just wonderful. Everybody was for everybody. One for everybody, and everybody for one.
And what about the relations between Jews and non-Jews?
The non-Jews behaved just like Hitler would be there by himself. When we went to our long tour, and we was very thirsty just for a glass of water, he didn't want to give us.
No, were you in a camp at any time when there were also non-Jewish inmates in the camp, or in all your time there was only Jewish inmates?
Only Jewish. Even in the time when I was in the prison, either I was by myself in a cell 30 days, or later on only Jewish boys.
Were there any Polish Jews in any of the camps?
Polish Jews didn't have a chance to come after 1944, when I used to be home before 1940. They used to come to us, and of course we did every help we could.
Did you receive help from your fellow inmates? And if you did, then give details.
No, we didn't give, we didn't receive, because nobody has nothing to give. And nobody could expect nothing for the other one, because everybody was just in the same situation.
Were you ever ill in camp?
Only 2 takes, and that's all.
Was there medical attention of any type, official or secret, by either the Hungarians or the Jewish personnel? If somebody was sick, was there any medical attention?
No medical attention. Maybe it's not polite to tell this story. It's happened when I was working with an elderly man. He went to the Gentile who was watching his work. He said, "Please give me rest because I spitting blood." He likes to be funny. He said, "Don't spit it out, swallow it." That's what they didn't. How I could describe what help they give us.
Describe the clothing you wore and the sanitary conditions.
Usually everybody got his clothes what he went. Nothing fancy, just we still could wear it.
There was no uniforms of any sort?
No, not uniform in our camp.
And what were the sanitary conditions in terms of cleanliness?
So that was all right. We tried to take care of it for our sake.
But did you have access to showers or baths?
Yes, we got.
Did you or anyone else receive mail officially or parcels?
From 1940 till 44, yes. After 1944, no.
When were you aware of, if you were, about the fate of Polish Jewry or gas chambers or extermination of Jews?
Actually, just after the war, we were suspicious because from my mother's family we got my aunt and my grandmother who used to live in Czechoslovakia, and they was in the concentration camp years before the Hungarian Jews, and we never got any knowledge what's happened. Just we was worrying about it.